You will earn approximately $1.7 million in your lifetime. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Here's the uncomfortable part. You'll spend $1.8 billion. The average American will die in debt. Not catastrophic debt usually, just debt. A few thousand here, a mortgage there, maybe some credit cards. We've built an entire economic system around the assumption that most people will spend slightly more than they make for their entire lives. And we call that normal. Let's pull that thread. These aren't projections or pessimistic estimates. This is the actual math when you track real households across decades. The Federal Reserve has been doing this since 1989, following the same families, watching money flow in and out like tides, and the pattern is so consistent it's almost mechanical. Birth to death, the average American moves through 7 distinct financial phases, each one predictable down to the dollar amount. What's strange isn't that we don't know these numbers. We do. What's strange is how little they've changed our behavior. It's like watching someone walk toward a cliff in slow motion, completely aware it's there, and just continuing. Let's start with income, because that's the number everyone fixates on. The median household in America earns about $74,000 a year. Not the average, the median. Half above, half below. That's the center of the distribution. Now here's where it gets interesting. That number peaks at age 54. 54 years old, you hit your maximum earning potential, statistically speaking. After that, decline. Not collapse, but a slow, steady reduction in income that continues until retirement. Most people don't feel it happening because it's gradual. A smaller raise here, a lateral move there, a decision to coast instead of climb. But compound that over a 40-year career and you get that 1.7 million figure. Some make more, obviously, some make less, but the clustering around that number is tighter than you'd think. A college graduate will earn about 2.3 million over their lifetime. High school diploma only? Around 1.3 million. The college premium is real, it's just not as dramatic as the marketing suggests. $1 million spread across 4 decades is $25,000 a year. Meaningful, but not life-altering. Here's the absurd part. Most of that money is already spoken for before you earn it. Taxes take about 25% on average, so you're down to 1.27 million in actual take-home pay. That's what you have to work with. Everything you'll ever buy, every experience, every emergency, every plan comes out of that pool, and it has to last 50, 60, maybe 70 years post-graduation. So where does it go? Housing eats 33% of the average household budget. That's $400,000 over a lifetime, assuming you rent. If you buy, you're looking at closer to $600,000 when you include mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, and insurance. Transportation is next. $830,000 across a lifetime. Not just car payments, everything. Gas, insurance, repairs, registration, parking tickets, that weird noise you ignore for 3 months. Food costs about $400,000. Healthcare, and this is the number that breaks the model, runs around $400,000 out of pocket. That's after insurance. The actual cost of keeping an American alive, from birth to death, if you added it all up, is somewhere north of $2 million. But you only pay a fraction directly. Then there are the smaller categories that add up in ways that feel almost insulting. Entertainment and recreation, $200,000. Clothing, $100,000. Personal care, $50,000. We're not even talking about luxuries here. This is just existing as a functioning member of society. Haircuts and deodorant and a phone plan, and occasionally seeing a movie. Add it together and you get approximately 1.8 million in lifetime spending for the median household. Notice the problem? You're earning 1.7, you're spending 1.8. The gap is small, only about $100,000 over an entire lifetime, but it's consistent. And that gap gets filled with credit. Mortgages, car loans, student debt, credit cards. The average American carries about $145,000 in total debt at any given time. Some of it is good debt, the kind that builds equity, like a house. Some of it is just friction, the cost of living slightly beyond your means for 40 years. Now let's talk about the finish line, retirement. The average American has $255,000 saved by age 65. Sounds reasonable until you remember that the average retirement lasts 20 years. That's $12,750 a year to supplement Social Security, which pays out around $1,800 a month or $21,600 annually. Combined, you're looking at about $34,000 a year to live on. Remember that $74,000 median income you had during your peak earning years? You just took a 54% pay cut, and your expenses didn't drop by 54%. Housing costs fall a bit if you've paid off the mortgage, but healthcare costs spike. The average couple will spend $315,000 on medical expenses in retirement. That's out of pocket after Medicare. Prescription drugs, supplemental insurance, long-term care if you need it. It all stacks up. Here's the quiet irony. We spend the first 25 years of our lives preparing to earn money, the next 40 years earning it, and the final 20 years trying to stretch whatever's left. And the math barely works. One unexpected illness, one bad market crash right before you retire, one decade of inflation you didn't plan for, and the whole structure collapses. Most people don't end up destitute, they just end up stressed, constantly calculating, saying no to things they used to say yes to. This isn't a personal failing. It's not about discipline or financial literacy, though those help on the margins. This is structural. The American economic model is built on consumption. Roughly 70% of GDP comes from consumer spending, which means the system needs you to spend, not save, spend. Every incentive is designed to keep money moving. Low interest rates make borrowing easy. Inflation makes saving expensive. The tax code favors debt. You can deduct mortgage interest, but not rent. Retirement accounts lock up your money until you're 59 and a half, with penalties if you touch it earlier. And wages, real wages adjusted for inflation, have been essentially flat since the 1970s. Productivity has doubled in that time. The economy has grown. Corporate profits have soared. But the median worker is taking home roughly the same purchasing power their parents did 50 years ago, which means the only way to maintain a middle-class lifestyle has been to borrow against the future. Take on a mortgage you'll pay for 30 years, finance the car, put the unexpected expense on a credit card and pay it off slowly. The system doesn't collapse because most people manage to stay current. They make the minimum payments. They refinance when rates drop. They delay retirement a few years if they have to. But it's exhausting, and it's not sustainable at scale. Right now, about 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing or selling something. That's not the bottom 40%, that's distributed across income levels. High earners, middle earners, doesn't matter. The marginal household is living month to month. So what does this mean? You could argue that people need to save more, spend less, make better choices. Sure, that's true on an individual level, but when the median outcome is structural insufficiency, when the average person following the average path ends up in the red, that's not a personal problem, that's a design problem. The uncomfortable truth is that the financial numbers defining the average life aren't shocking because they're extreme. They're shocking because they're so ordinary. Earn $1.7 million, spend $1.8 million. Retire on not quite enough and hope nothing goes catastrophically wrong. Repeat for every generation. We know the math doesn't work. We teach the math in schools, and yet the pattern persists. Maybe the question isn't how to fix your personal finances. Maybe it's why we've all agreed to participate in a system where the median outcome is precarity, where the average result, the most common path, the thing that happens to half of all households, is just barely not enough. The numbers don't lie. They never do. But we keep pretending they say something different than what they actually mean. And that might be the most expensive decision of all.